Welcome back to Cruelty Squad. We had a very, very successful mission, killing off the heads of Big Pharma.
Very profitable.
And hey, we got a new friend. He's also looking to make a name for himself with his own PMC. How very entrepreneur of you.
I'm getting too old for this shit. Death flag, death flag, death flag.
You say death flag, but I'd be getting way ahead of myself on this.
I mean, there's death flags, and then there's this game, so...
Yeah. Oh, wait, look at that. We got a pretty decent, increase in holdings with Vego's Metoids.
Yeah, that's a pretty good nest egg you've got there.
Yeah. Kind of going a bit down, but I mean, it's hovering in, the upper thousands. That's pretty good. So let's get ready for our next mission. And we should do this with some new toys, if possible. Or not. I actually technically forget. I think I might just actually stick with this one because I stick with the default.
Yeah. Again, the silenced pistol is really solid for a good chunk of the game.
It is. And we'll also be picking up more weapons that we can then take home after the mission, because I forgot to say at the end of the last one, the way you unlock new weapons is that you have to find them in the mission, and you have to exit the mission with them in your inventory.
So much easier said than done.
Yeah, you can only hold 2, so make your choices. Anyway, we need to kill some Silicon Valley tech bros in their gated community.
Oh, my favorite pastime.
Yep. In a gated community where the roads are shaped like a pentagon. Or pentagram.
Where is it? Is it Washington, D.C. that has the street shaped like that? There's an area where everything's right in the center of the city where the streets are laid out in a pentagram.
I don't know. I think you just described Suda51's version of the Pentagon from Killer 7.
Could well be. I mean, they are practically identical.
Yeah. Yep, just don't mind us walking into this gated community, taking out every homeowner's private security. It's all good.
Well, they had it coming.
Unfortunately, the targets are not in this particular building. I just felt like doing it.
Yeah. You can always see where the targets are on the map, but that can make things very confusing.
Yeah, because you don't know how deep behind, objects in the environment they are. Or how it might line up with how you perceive the outside space in general.
Yeah, you think, oh, this guy's just in the next building over. But that could be, through several miles of courtyards and fucking tanker trucks and everything. It's nuts.
Yeah. And this is, compared to what we went through at Pharmakokinetiks, this is already a map that is, exponentially bigger. There are 3 targets. They're all situated in a group of houses that are, in the center of this, satanic gated neighborhood. But there's still other places that we can, something's wrong with the car. Hold on. There we go.
Yes, the fact that the car was juddering was what was wrong with it. Not the fact that it looked like it was made out of reformed human flesh.
No, that's totally normal here. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't really listen to myself, to be honest.
Yeah. Whatever's in that basement, though, also totally normal. With this might as well be this homeowner's equivalent of a dog, and we're just going in and shooting it.
I'm fairly certain that puppy has Alzheimer's, and this is a war crime.
Yeah. We could go deeper in, but going into the basement level, lighting just turns pitch black.
Yeah.
We'll be able to go back through there more thoroughly, but that's at a later time. Definitely not on this run.
Yeah, this is arguably the first proper level of the game, and it's where you start realizing that basically what you can see literally on the surface is not all there is in every area.
Yeah, new neighbor. That's totally us. That may or may not be a hint of a future level. Anyway, I don't like you.
Yes! I was hoping you'd do that at some point.
Yeah, like, if there's a fun game that you should be playing while watching us just, like, yak over this nightmare hell game, it should be figuring out how, like, what method I go about killing certain NPCs who are not critical to completing the mission, but I do it anyway because everybody in this universe is some degree of awful person.
And everyone can be harvested for their organs.
I mean, even the owner of this pizza place hates us. He's already taking fire.
Plus, just kicking standing enemies launches them for miles, and it is amazing.
Yeah, just the G's that you impart on people with a single kick is pretty good in this game.
And you can get an upgrade which makes your kicks even more powerful.
Yeah.
Like, you already launched them through the sound barrier. Once you get the upgrade, you're just instantly teleporting them to light speed.
Mm-hmm. This house is always tricky, and I was conflicted just because it's like I really wanted to show off this particular place, but that's always usually where I die half the time, and you see what happens when you die the first time. Our divine light's been severed.
You are a flesh automaton animated by neurotransmitters. Have a nice day!
Yep, we are now flesh automaton. And this is still on punishment mode, by the way, so like even though we take twice as much damage, we technically take less than we did when we were on Divine Light. Because what these different modes are, is that they're difficulty settings. Dying once puts you on an easier difficulty. And then there's an even easier difficulty below that requires way more specific conditions to pull off. But you're not going to see that for a little while. Again, like, dying is a natural thing with Cruelty Squad. Like, that's just how, like, the game is designed. Even if you know everything, there's, like, always the slightest chance of things fucking up for you.
Yeah.
But I do absolutely what I can to die what I consider like the absolute minimum amount of times I'm willing to allow on this LP.
The game does have a lot more random chance to it than pretty much any other immersive sim you can imagine, which is both good and bad, depending on how you like your games.
Mm-hmm. Weird mushrooms, huh? Yeah. Yeah, just all these... Like all these suburbanites, like the stuff that they have to say. It's enough to make you want to punch whoever says it. That's clearly the intent behind a lot of these characters.
Yeah, everyone in this game is either a complete monster or they're just so very tired.
Yeah. Anyway, now to clear out this house, even though there's still no targets inside, but they killed me last time, so now it's personal.
Coming after you, fucker.
That said, I do confuse myself whether or not there are still enemies up on the second floor, because, like it's possible to, like, kill most, if not all of them from the outside whenever they go by the balcony.
Yeah, it looked like you got maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, but as the indicators showed, though, there's absolutely, like, at least one more up there. That's what the eyeball on the left side of the screen means.
Yep, the eye only shows up if there's someone who can actively harm you that can see it.
Yep, which is a good thing, too, because if that popped up for every civilian, boy, that would be very useless.
It would be like playing Hitman with the vision indicators on.
Mm-hmm. But hey, we got our burst rifle back. This is basically the #1 reason why you want to, like, fuck around with that house, if we're being honest. Even though it is one of those places where I feel it's especially easy to get hit for no real reason. But hey, at least we have the pizza place nearby. Alright, I am sufficiently fed. Gotta love bunny hopping.
And trying to make yourself throw up violently by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Also, if you'll notice, since we died, our arm has become disgustingly fleshy.
Oh shoot, I always thought that's how it always looked, just because of just how the weird textures that our main character always had. I've just always had assumed it was mostly like the HUD.
Yeah,
but no, that is the case. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep. It doesn't always happen, and I genuinely don't know if it's if it's deliberate or if it's just a weird fuck up. But the skin on your arm, which is really the only visible part of your character for most of the time, can change.
Yeah. Like, I know it definitely changes when you have, like, certain body augments attached to you, because it's basically, like, an extra, like, layer. Yeah, from that perspective, it makes sense, but we're still running without any augments. So that would make a lot more sense if after dying the first time, we don't look so good.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, in this universe, what does it matter? Because this is a world where, like, genetic recombiners are, like, the norm. The idea that dying once means it's over for you is not a thing. Unless you are a target of the Cruelty Squad, in which they want to make sure you either stay dead, or are stuck in an infinite loop of getting killed over and over.
Yeah, if anyone out there has read or watched, for that matter, Altered Carbon, that has a very similar concept where, because people can have their brains and memories stored on hard drives, essentially, death is all but meaninless, unless they want to kill you, in which case they will basically rip out your backups and destroy them, or keep you in long-term storage forever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that sounds like you think about it and you're like, oh, that doesn't sound too great or too bad. And then you actually think about the implications and you find yourself you can't sleep anymore.
Yeah. And somehow I think the implications of, like, this world might even top what Altered Carbon is putting forth.
Yeah, this game easily gives Altered Carbon a run for its money. Mm-hmm. There is some grotesquely fucked up stuff. Not just visually, but thematically.
Absolutely.
But that's why we love it.
Yep. It's a game that is very hard for a lot of people to love, but I think that just makes this even more lovable to me.
It's what was it someone said? It's an acquired taste, like veal.
Yeah.
Just rich, buttery, disgusting suffering.
But I totally get the comparison. Anyway, time to actually do the hit on these tech bro bastards.
Once again, they're not human, they had it coming.
Exactly. All these targets had it coming. I'm not even kidding. I'm not saying that as a joke. I genuinely do not believe any one of these had the potential to, like, either be innocent beforehand or that they could possibly have cleaned up their act afterwards.
Yeah,
there's nothing redeemable about the people living in this place.
This is basically dystopia plus. Like,
yeah.
Take your regular dystopia, then up it by about 3 billion%, and then put it through MS Paint.
I mean, look at the first person we're gonna kill. I think it's very clear why.
I don't see any problem with what you're talking about here.
You're not worried about, like, the walls literally made out of soulless vinyl collectibles?
No, and I think that he's actually kind of a pretty cool guy for indulging in his passions like this.
Even though he has goatsy tech?
Well, I mean, that just shows that he's a learned gentleman of the internet.
I was just dry heaving because I could not handle the sight of that room or that dude's musk anymore.
I mean, let's just walk past the fact that I can see about 60 or 70 Funkos from my chair right now.
Oh no, you actually have them.
Oh yeah.
Well,
well, don't you feel awkward now, asshole?
Well, I still stand by my case.
Fair.
I almost die again multiple times throughout this. You have no idea how extremely difficult it is to give, like, a thorough demonstration of what all this level has to offer with next to no deaths.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the majority of the playthroughs out there are speedruns.
Fucking hypocrite.
Well, someone's not a libertarian.
Could have fooled me. This whole neighborhood's full of them.
I don't know, no one's mentioned the age of consent yet.
I wouldn't doubt that they would say it if they could bring it up. So here's our next dickhead. We can't even see him, but I already hate him. Weird bullshit alternative programming languages.
Oh god, he's like that one guy that started, like, he saw how popular, like, Linux was and tried to start his own, programming language, his own OS, and kinda turned it into a cult.
Yeah. God, yeah, that is so apt.
Andrew something, I think his name was.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, especially with the whole OS thing. It's like, yeah, that's...
Temple OS, that was it.
Temple OS, correct, yeah. Like, I knew it was, like niggling in the back of my head that that's what it felt like it was alluding to. Even though, again, creator probably was not thinking about that particular thing when writing the dialogue for that target. But then again, that also applies to a lot of things. It is important to note, like, the stuff that you pull out of your head or your ass subconsciously can be, like, more valuable than trying to, like, overthink, like, the point and nature of, like, how it fits into the work of art you're creating.
Yeah, in many ways the game is like, it's really like a Rorschach test, and what you get out of it says more about you, except it doesn't look like your parents arguing on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and it just so happens that, like, if there's a lot of things that you think you personally get out of it, there's, like, a non-zero chance that it might possibly also overlap with, like, what the developer was also thinking.
Yeah.
Like, this game's dark presentation, humor, and disgustingness, like, has a strong resonance with, like, very clearly, like, our generation.
I mean, if other than disgusting, if you had to sum the game up in one word, it would be irony.
Yes.
Or you know, if you want to add in a hyphen, irony poisoned.
Yeah, like you thought that detached irony of Gen X shit was already like the like shit going real bad, but this is like, yeah, this is when you've been stuck on that for years upon years and never thought to, like, pull out after a while.
Yeah, this is basically terminal internet poisoning the game.
Yeah. And, like, if you look at Kalio's Twitter, it does kind of read like that. But at least he also still seems to have a head on his shoulder and does not go down the chud route. I mean, if any of the tweets I've seen where he's, like, actively, like, lambasting the people on 4chan to talk shit about this game is anything to go by. Because I think that's the only place where there has been any, like, noticeable sign of, like, negative criticism of this game, because most people otherwise are too disgusted by this to actually form, like, a negative opinion or critique about it. They just go away, because I mean, for fuck's sake, look what we're doing.
We are making lunch. I see
exactly.
No problem with this.
Yeah, lunch out of these neighbors' remains.
Oh, come on.
Again, is this cannibalism? Depends on how you want to qualify certain people as being human.
Are you telling me, in all honesty, you are too good to eat cooked body parts out of your neighbour's doghouse? Are you saying that here and now on the record? That's what I thought.
Depends. Did they also talk about before their death about what they think the age of consent should be?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, in that case, I'm totally fine with it.
I try to avoid my neighbours at all costs, because they are not nice people.
Yeah.
But then again, I try to avoid most people at all costs, so, you know, take that how you will.
We're from the same cloth, you and I, on that one. I very much try and do the same to avoid human contact, both for my physical health and mental.
Yeah, it's like, I understand other people exist. Don't come anywhere near me. Thanks for being a fan. But you disgust me, and I want nothing to do with you. Thanks!
That's why I became a VTuber, for the eventual transhumanist hope that I can transcend my mortal flesh.
That's why I just don't leave the house.
That too.
It means I don't have to pay anyone for rigging.
Anyway, we're almost back to full health before we tackle the final major location of this nightmare-gated suburban neighborhood.
Still haven't even shown everything off. This place is fucking insane. As I said, this is the first proper level which gives you an idea as to what to expect. Once you get a lot of like the late game weapons and like augments or whatever, you realize that this is like the best like early test case scenario for how to break shit wide open. Yeah, once you start getting some of the more interesting upgrades, this area more or less becomes like a training ground, like a playground to see what you can do and how you can get to places.
Yeah, Pharmakokinetiks was like that was like the initiation in a relatively confined space. You know, all the targets are indoors. There's only so many ways to get to those targets. And so for the second level, they're like, all right, we are exponentially increasing the play space, which also means increasing your options, even though you do not have many options still at this stage in the game. But later on, oh boy, you will be witness to a great becoming.
I mean, even in general, like, you wander into the basements where suddenly everything's pitch black, and you're like, oh, okay, well, obviously I'll need to come back here with a flashlight or something. Yeah. And then you discover there's a lot more. And, oh boy.
Kinda, like we jokingly call this game a nightmare. Some parts of this game, I think, literally qualify as a traditional horror nightmare.
Oh no, whenever I used to describe Silent Hill to people back in the day, the original, I used to say that Resident Evil made you scared of zombies, whereas Silent Hill made you afraid of things you didn't even know existed up until 3 minutes ago. This is what Silent Hill has nightmares about.
Yep. We drove our car off a ramp into Osama Bin Laden's compound.
Well, there's a timely reference.
I am not lying. No, seriously, I'm not fucking lying. The creator himself confirmed. Like, this building's layout that we are going into right now, like, exterior, interior, everything is supposed to be, like, based on, inspired by the compound that Osama Bin Laden was hiding out in.
Wow, seriously?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. And you might think, like, okay, well, like, that maybe that's just a coincidence. You think that, but we've passed by a building multiple times that has a spinning tower and is supposed to be inspired by the Unabomber shed.
You know,
like any other creator would have stopped at the idea of, okay, this neighborhood is clearly evil because all of the rows intersect in a way that it forms a pentagram. No. He has to go one step further in a way where you just look at it and are like, is this a shitpost or is this like some serious commentary? You decide. But no, seriously, it is a shitpost. A very dark shitpost.
You know, I think from my various appearances in your threads and your streams, most people understand that I have what some would consider to be a worrying knowledge of serial killers and mass murderers and so forth.
Did I one-up you in this instance?
Even I wouldn't know that shit! Like, what the fuck?
In the recording of this game, I also ended up taking, let's say, like, about half of, like, that half to equal amount of time also scouring what I could find on the Cruelty Squad fan wiki. So, if you're wondering if at any point how the hell could I have possibly come across some of this bizarre information, well, there's your answer.
Because fuck knows I never would have put those two together.
Yeah, Yeah.
Like, I would not have thought, this place is oddly reminiscent of Ted Kaczynski's Forest Fuck Shack.
Yeah. You would think. But as this level has clearly demonstrated, nothing is off the table for just darkly ironically poisoned humor. And there we go. We received our punishment, and we're back to Divine Light. That's the other reward, the other incentive for playing on punishment mode. Like, because of how there are secrets hidden behind doors that you can only access with Divine Light, like we saw in the first mission, that's basically your early game incentive to try and play on punishment mode if you want to get at some of these, like, secrets as soon as possible. Granted, those secrets that require you to be on Divine Light are, I'm gonna say, unfortunately, less than I think there should be. Like, if it was more apparent that there were, like, doors that required you to be at that difficulty level on most, if not every level, I think that would probably have given people, like, a better, like, understanding of, okay, it's probably very, very important that I should not die all the time.
Yeah, my first time, I just thought, oh, okay, this is essentially the game taunting me because I suck. Which it is, let's be fair. But then, actually reading up on, right, I know I'm missing stuff, what am I missing out on? Oh! Mm-hmm. Oh, what, you mean an entire 60% of the game? And a lot of it is tied to not dying. Well, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's even one secret you can only access if you have died so many times that you actually access that third difficulty level, the one below Flesh Automaton.
Yep.
So it's like, I guess that's reward enough, even though it doesn't feel good.
I mean, it's something.
It is. It definitely is. But yeah, that was a hell of a large level. Next one, probably won't feel nearly as big, but it's still going to be continuing in the trend of what we saw here with Paradise, where you're not really dealing with, like, very, like, fairly restrained, confined spaces. Next mission's going to be a fun one. Look forward to that.